Hello, good morning. Welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show, radio to open the heart, heal the soul, and awaken the consciousness. Good morning, Mr. Benny Mather.
Hi there. Good morning. How's everything in your world?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You should know. It's your world.
You know what? I love what you just said. It is my world.
Okay, then.
It's fantastic.
All right. Now,
it's fantastic.
I am curious. You were a little tardy for getting on our little Zoom session. But I mean, the show started on time, but normally we have a little bit of a time to chit chat. What's going on? Did you say upstairs? That's the kind of got you a little
upstairs.
flustered?
Well, I live in a condo.
Okay.
Right. So I don't live in a house. So for those people that live in condos, you will know what I'm talking about.
Okay, I get it out.
Yeah, and I have people above me, below me, to the right of me, and to the left of me. That sounds kind of like,
a song or something like.
It does, doesn't it?
Or you're one of the Brady Bunch kids.
Yeah.
Actually, you look around and you're all like,
it's funny you say that because they always had the Brady Bunch, kind of like on a Zoom call.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it looks like.
That was the early form of Zoom. We had no idea at the time, did we?
Yeah, right.
Brilliant.
But they, I think they are babysitting or something, and whoever it is a runner, apparently running and running and running.
The youth.
And
to have such good legs and knees.
and ringing doorbells.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, because you could do that apparently.
That's fun. So they were triggering yours, perhaps?
Yeah, something like that. And then I don't know, I think they're rolling bowling balls or something. Anyway, that's what was going on. And I was just trying to make sure we were going to be quiet enough for the show. And
hey, your little Auntie Loretta has a radio show here. Let's all sit down for the next hour. That's all I need.
Yeah. I through the last few years, Zoom has helped many of us stay in business.
Oh, yeah.
I've done a lot of Zoom calls. And people's dogs and cats and other family members and all kinds of things happen, right?
Yeah, there was some videos, even in the very beginning of, when the shutdown happened and COVID and all that. And you had like prime ministers and, big executives on these giant Zoom calls. And then in walks behind the door like a 4-year-old and like, Dad, can you play with me? It's like, I'm on a call with the other world leaders. World leaders, exactly. You're like, that's so adorable, but they're like trying to be professional, and you have this like, Dad, well, hey, can you come play with me? I'll be with you in a minute. Go say hi to your mom.
I know.
Yeah, right.
I love it though. It crosses over into
the new norm.
The new norm, and also crosses over into, oh my goodness, we're people.
Yeah,
right.
We're human. You got it.
Yeah, we're human. I love it. So anyway, looks like a beautiful day here in Seattle.
Yep.
So we're good.
And
good
upcoming, and to all the fathers for this upcoming weekend and Father's Day weekend, my best to you and to everyone around.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, because it was where I was headed. And I was also thinking about it when this delightful child, I really do mean it. Like, I love children, right?
Oh yeah, I know this.
Yeah, but to all the dads out there and you guys, dads are really important. Yep. They're very important.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And ring all those doorbells. Or don't.
Well, maybe dads can talk to their kids about that.
Yeah, there'll be a small conversation first before that happens.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, to my dad in heaven, I love you. And we always did music together. So I always play music. I know for sure. And so it's fun. Anyway, let's dive into the show a little bit. As I said, I'm Loretta Brown. I'm the owner of Reiki Oasis, located right here in the greater Seattle area. And you can find out more about me at ReikiOasis.com and schedule anything at schedule.reikioasis.com, and be aware of the fact that I'm always booked out a bit. So if you need help scheduling, send me a little email at reikioasis@gmail.com, and I'll get you in. I always hide a few appointments in the back room for people that need to have one right away. So, wow, this astrology going on. Here we are in June, And I've had so many clients talk to me about the fact that they've been feeling very emotional, a bit cranky, frustrated, tired of waiting for whatever, done waiting for whatever. They want to declutter. Everybody wants to lose weight. They're looking for love. Maybe it's time to come back out and stop, being isolated. It's time to come back out there and have social interactions. And so there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of concern about all these things. So if you've been feeling any of this, maybe you got your own little theme going on over there, you're right on time, because on Sunday, this past week, June 9th, Mars, the fiery planet, moved into grounded, earthy Taurus. And this is not it's not the best placement for energy. It can help us sort of, how do I say this? It sort of slows us down to the point where we're really looking at all of the details. We're looking at the foundations that we've set. It's very slow. It's very steady. And it's also one of those things where if you've been thinking about losing weight, you're not going to want a fad diet. You want a long, slow, you want the real thing. You see what I'm saying here? So we're going back and taking a look at all of these little details and sort of fine tuning our lives and possibly our goals. Also this week on Tuesday, Mars in Taurus square Pluto in Aquarius brought a very combative alignment that can bring power struggles, unrest, protests, aggressive outbursts from governments or the people. And that's, I think, what I'm saying to everyone. If you've been feeling irritable or frustrated, this alignment might have something to do with it. Mars and Pluto help us get in touch with anger and resentment that we've harbored. And, it'd always be nice to bring that stuff out in healthy outlets like, I don't know, let's just journal, or let's go get a little therapy, or maybe go to the gym and, take up boxing or something. But this kind of energy quite often can be volatile. And also because we're in Gemini, you could have, or maybe someone close to you could have had an outburst of some kind and they just got it out. And I'm here to say, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, stand back a little bit, and maybe it's just a time to clear the air, and especially, I mean this, if you've been harboring resentment or holding something inside from the past, remember, it's just not healthy. And it is you're the one that you're hurting. So there's so many ways to shift that. So many really, really good things, right? Tomorrow, Friday, June 14th, Sun is conjunct Mercury in Gemini. Sun, Mercury, Gemini brings another powerful day to the themes of this month of self-expression and communicating what is really on our minds. And it's a great time to start that journaling practice. I am a firm believer in journaling for so many different things. You could also, under this energy, negotiate a contract, book travel, or even buy a car. It's really great energy for clarity, helps you get in alignment with stuff. And for all of you that have come to me and been talking about anxieties, fears, or concerns regarding global and personal conditions, and sometimes I'm going to say this, sometimes we watch too much news. Sometimes we need to go outside and hug a tree and look at the sun and hug our kids and hug our dads and all that kind of stuff. But I want to remind everybody that we are in a time of great and expected change. And here's a quote. I'd like to read this to you from Judith Kussel. When we come out of this, we will have changed, and so will the world have changed. Our values will change. We will be brought back to the deepest truth within ourselves and understand that the old systems, the old structures, the old form of life have left us. We cannot go back to where we were before, not on any level. We will have shifted. And as such, we're forced to return to the deepest truth within and find that deep inner connection with all of life and all that is. Instead of always looking for outside stimulation, outside entertainment, outside forces, we will have shifted deep within and found a reconnection to our souls, which we lost some time ago, and is now truly stepping to the fore to remind us of what? truly matters. It is teaching us to communicate from the heart and soul and the depths of our being, to become authentic and real, to be grateful for and nurture what we do have. It is teaching us what is truly important and what is not. It is teaching us to share, to come together, to help each other. The more I see what is unfolding here, the more grateful I become. Let us rise and let us bring our unique gifts and talents to the world and share the deepest love in our heart and soul with integrity and authenticity. In truth, it is not about me. It is not about you. It is about us and the resurrection of the planet Earth, the rebirth of humanity into the highest consciousness, the new life in the fifth dimensional form and higher. It is in essence the return to love and the highest state of pure innocence. So open your heart and soul to be transformed from within and without. We are all being reborn into a much higher version of self. What a gift and what a blessing. So take a deep breath. It's a beautiful day. I have a wonderful guest. You're going to really enjoy this interview, so please stick around for the whole thing. And today I'm really thrilled to have Sandra Smith. She's an internationally renowned Enneagram teacher and author of the upcoming book, The Enneagram Map to Your Deeper Self, Living Beyond Your Type. Sandra's work beautifully integrates personality and spirituality, offering readers a profound way to understand their Enneagram type without being confined by it. Her book is a guide to living beyond our automatic patterns, enriched with personal stories and practical practices for each of the 9 types. Sandra is a certified narrative Enneagram teacher and an IEA accredited professional. Through her business, Alchemy Works, she provides organizational Enneagram training, public workshops, and retreats. Sandra co-created and co-hosts the podcast, Heart of the Enneagram, that explores dimensions of the 9 unique Enneagram perspectives through interviewing guests of all 9 types. Sandra, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you here.
I'm really tickled to be here, Loretta. Thank you.
Yeah. So I have been sorting through. Your book is fantastic, and the Enneagram Map to Your Deeper Self. Everybody just go get it right now. It's a little pre-sale, but go get it right now. And you can also get it on Kindle. I'm just all about reading. So tell us a little bit, what brought you to the Enneagram? How'd you get here?
That's a great question, Loretta. And the first few sentences of my book say basically this. In the summer of 1991, a t-shirt changed my life. And the story behind that is there is a ranch near Du Bois, Wyoming, that I go to often. And the first summer that I was there in 91, I was taking some time away from the East Coast where I live in Asheville. I was in theology school at the time. So I went to be on staff at this ranch, and I walked in the dining room one morning, and Sister Agnes was a sister of Loretta from Chicago, and she had a t-shirt on, and it said, "Hi, I'm a 1." And I said, "Sister Agnes, that must be the best. How do I get to be a 1?" And she left an Enneagram book, and I gobbled it down and immediately mistyped myself because I was only concerned with behavior. And it took a few years of reading. And then when I finally started doing some workshops and then went for certification through the narrative with Helen Palmer and David Daniels, I sat on a 3-panel, but I thought, gosh, am I really a 3? I feel like a lazy 3. And so I lead the type 8. And when the type 8 panel got up, I thought, oh my goodness, they're sharing what I'm thinking. So it was a great beginning for me.
I love that story so much. Especially the sister of Loretta. Anyway, that's my joke. I went to the Loretta Chapel in Santa Fe one time and had Loretta in front of Loretta. It's a long-term joke. So there
That's
you go.
wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Could you please explain to us what is the Enneagram? And I realize that's a big question, but
Yeah.
I'm going to let you jump in there, and then and we'll get into it because it'll take a while for these answers. How do we figure out what our type is? So jump in there. Yeah.
All right. Thanks. First question. Ennea is Greek for 9. And it's a system that's become quite popular and quite misunderstood. The Enneagram offers 9, I would say, ego structures of humanity. It weaves ancient wisdom, was birthed, the system was birthed by Oscar Chazo in the 50s and 60s and Claudio Naranjo. But as we learn about this system, we have to self-observe in order to understand who we are and what's driving my behavior. So the Enneagram is a system that shares the motivation, the internal operating system of our living. So it's how we take the world in and process it. It's not about output. It isn't about behavior. And that's what trips a lot of folks up about, understanding their type. So 9 types. 1 is home base. It's our default. And it's how we most go on automatic. So as I teach this system, it's really about understanding that we all have an ego structure, which is Enneagram type, and we need it to survive in the world. But unless we understand the workings of it, we remain asleep on automatic patterns and missing our lives. And we're not here long. I mean, I would like to be in my life on this planet Earth while I'm here. And as long as I'm on automatic, I'm really not mindful or conscious, and I don't have choice. I'm in knee-jerk response, or rather reactivity. So the Enneagram system tells me how I go on automatic. Some of that I sort of knew, but this is a very clear, unambiguous map. It's a map. And so it's really a psycho-spiritual model. It names how we go to sleep, and also some pathways or some ways to move into consciousness. So if I'm in the throes of my Enneagram type, my heart is defended. So type has many pieces to it, and they're like veils that cover the radiance of us. And so the work, once we know our type, that's when you get to use the map. Some people start, oh, I know my type, and that's it. But that's like, as I say on our podcast, Heart of the Enneagram, that's like finding your hiking, the trailhead to your hike, but not taking the hike, right? So we use the map to start looking at, gosh, how am I blocking my own radiance? How am I blocking my heart from receiving and giving love? And that's been a huge gift of the Enneagram. There are many components to the Enneagram type or ego structure. And, it all works together. It's an amazing architecture. And we don't know what's happening much of the time with us because we're on automatic. So this is like a wake-up call. It's like, here are your patterns. Here they are. This is how you limit yourself. So Loretta, a lot of folks misunderstand the system and think it puts you in a box. But in fact, it's showing you the patterns that tightly limit you so that you can start working your way free of that box. Another misunderstanding is that folks think that we are our type. We're not.
Mm-hmm.
And people of the same type are very much alike. And they're not. So when I meet, let's say I meet a person who leads with type 6, and I say lead with because we're not our type, who leads with a 6, I think, oh, I wonder what I'll learn from this person's unique manifestation of type 6, because we're going to wear it differently. Now, it's true that the operating system, processing system, will be very similar among all 6s or all 1s, but behaviors are shaped by culture and family systems and socioeconomics. So we can't close the book on ourselves because we know our type or someone else's. And so to remain open to the mystery of ourselves so that we can be surprised by each other, that's what we want. We're not putting people in boxes. We're saying, here are some preferences to help me better understand me, my impact on others, and to deepen my understanding of you. And in closing that first question, the last thing I'll say is, we're more alike than different.
Mm.
These are nuances. We're all human. And what we want to do is use the Enneagram to open our hearts to living and loving more fully. And that's the potential of it.
I love this idea of a map,
Yes.
right? I love this idea of a map. I love hiking and adventuring, and the idea that I can study the map, or I can go deeper into the map, or I'm on a trail and here's a whole bunch of other trails. But what about this part over here? I have not really discovered, or I have not really looked at. And it sounds to me like it's a continuum of self-discovery, of self-observation.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So I can open a door here and learn something about myself. And then another door opens and it leads me to new discoveries, and it just deepens. I mean, Loretta, I've done this for almost 25 years now as a teacher. And I would say I'm learning new things every month, if not every week. The inner landscape, and you named it as you were speaking to the astrological piece, there are just thousands of miles inside us and so many surprises. And the deeper we go, the more fascinated we become. And we're not going to go deep into our inner work really unless we love ourselves. So being kind to ourselves, practicing self-compassion, and really investigating, do I love me? Because as we turn inward, we're going to find some beautiful and painful and challenging pieces and parts. But when we can, with acceptance and love, receive all of that, we can take the journey deeper.
Yes. I'm also being with this idea and of this exploration of self, this learning. And the Enneagram is nine types, or not even quite, perspective. I'm not even quite sure what the right word would be there. I would assume, I suppose, that we have aspects of all of those within ourselves. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we do. And there are, I would say, 4 that I call resource points. So the numbers on either side of us are called wings, and then we have connecting points. So I live in the South. I call them kinfolk. So that resonates. But, they're resources, and we can mine those resources within us. Yeah.
Yeah. And so as a person begins this journey with the Enneagram, and I was kind of looking through there in a bit. I want you to kind of synopsis the 9 types for us, or the perspectives. But how do you find which one? Because I heard you say you thought you were maybe a lazy 3, and then no, you're an 8. So, right.
I was sitting in a group of 3s at my first training when I thought I was a 3, and I said, "Gosh, grocery store checkout lines are just so hard, aren't they?" And the 3s in the group said, "Why are you in a line standing there? Well, how do you get your groceries?" Because they had other ways, they get at the grocery store at 7 or 7:30. There are no lines. Yeah. So there are many online tests, so to speak, and most of them are more confusing than helpful. And they can short circuit your own self exploration.
Mhm.
I think it's a good idea to read about all 9 types, knowing that we have a bit of each within us, and also to know this isn't about behavior. So types 2 and 6 can look alike because they are connectors with people. But the reason they're connecting is very different. And so for type 2, I'm going to connect because I'm wanting affirmation. For 6, I'm wanting to be safer. And if you like me, I'll be safer. So very different motivations, but the behavior's similar. Yeah. So I think reading about the 9 types, self-observation, if folks know someone who's a certified teacher, some folks are trained in how to do an assessment. But first, self-observe, read about the types, and if take an online test, then you'll at least have a little bit of information to help you discern.
I love this idea of reading the whole thing, because I also am a proponent of understanding me. Also, I need to understand you, or have some context of how we work together, or how we're different. I think a lot of people assume, well, you must look at things like I look at things, right? I think this way, and I do this, and this is how people should be, right? And no, not at all.
That is one of the biggest gifts the Enneagram gave me. It was like, wow, you don't think like I do. And to this day, I still get tripped up. I think you're thinking like I am, but no, we need to talk and keep talking and keep talking and ask why and be more curious. But it's been a system to say, well, type 4 is looking at what's not here, what's missing, where type 1 is seeing what needs to be improved, and type 7 is looking for the most interesting thing on the landscape. We have a focus of attention, and by Enneagram type, Loretta, that type structure within us is going to focus in on something that keeps the type structure in place. It's fascinating. And
yeah, no, go ahead. I was going to say I'm more and more fascinated the more you talk. Yeah.
Right. It's to know where your type structure is placing your attention is such a gift, because now knowing that, you can open up your filter and see more of reality.
Mm-hmm.
But if a type 9 whose focus is on others' agendas because they want to avoid conflict, and so they're sometimes called the mediator, but folks don't realize they don't mediate in the moment. They're mediating to make sure the conflict doesn't happen. So they're scanning for possible conflict. And so if I lead with 9 and I'm just focused on others' agendas to keep the peace, then I don't know what my agenda is.
Yeah.
I've lost myself. I have forgotten myself. And so in working with people of types, I'm always encouraging them to bring in the blind spot. When you notice yourself in this narrow focus of type, just pause, breathe, look around, and see if you can bring in your blind spot. And so, for type 6, they look for what could go wrong. They're the troubleshooters of the Enneagram. So their type has them looking for possible emotional loss or harm. And to look for positive possibilities to balance that.
I'm thinking also while you're talking, when people identify, they say, I am a type, whatever it is, right? I remember years ago, I had a woman come in and she would always say, I'm a type, I think it was 7. I'm a type 7. So, I this and I that. And I, even not knowing anything about the Enneagram, I was like, and you said it earlier, we are not our type. And your book is helping us break free from being like, okay, so I'm a type, 4 or something. And so I've read this. And so this is who I am. And so I'm just in this little box.
Mm-hmm.
And you encourage us to explore this and to also, I don't know if I want to say adjust it, bringing out the blind spots, go further with this, right?
Right, Loretta. So we lead with a type.
Okay.
We need this ego structure and patterns to survive. It's a comfort zone. It's familiar. And it's pretty much done by 5, 6, or 7 years old. So it gets laminated. We think that's us.
Yeah.
And if, as we grow and age, we don't explore this, we think, oh, I'm an 8, just deal with my anger, just deal with my intensity. But there's no growth in that.
Right.
And so once you start studying the map of the Enneagram for your specific type, then you realize how you're limiting yourself. And, one of the aspects of type 8, Loretta, is certainty. And I have learned that when I'm in certainty, I'm not present to myself, and no one is. And many of us are scared to death of uncertainty. We're all scared right now. I have found through much pain and joy that there is an aliveness in uncertainty. And if I can stay with that aliveness, then other options arise that I had not considered. But in certainty, that's either or. And 8s, 9s, and 1s really create dualisms. And so that's what certainty is, this or this. It's this. So there's no learning there. And so how do we move into possibility? When I work with teams and staffs, I'm always saying that as you begin meetings, please say this. We're going to listen for possibility with each other rather than agreement, disagreement. And right now, we're listening for agreement, disagreement, and that is not growing us or moving us or opening our hearts to love.
That is so spot on. That is absolutely spot on. We're going to take a little station break. And wow, I'm so thrilled with what you just said. I got to go back and like make a little voice clip and stick that on my phone so I can just listen to it. But anyway, this is Loretta Brown. My guest today is Sandra C. Smith, the author of the Enneagram Map to Your Deeper Self. And oh my goodness, what a great conversation. Please don't go away. We'll be right back.
All right, all clear. Did you know that Reiki healing can be done at a distance? It's true. So let Reiki Oasis focus powerful energy to help relieve your stress, grief, sadness, anger, and so much more. Convenient, personalized treatments at a distance can increase lightness of being. During your appointment, find a quiet place to lie down or sit to receive healing energies. If you want help with your dis-ease, visit ReikiOasis.com. Harness life's energy. Visit ReikiOasis.com today.
Saving Great Animals, a Seattle-based dog rescue organization, matches families with dogs that are the best fit. Dogs that come from overcrowded animal control shelters, from abandonment or neglect. The key to Saving Great Animals' success is a trial adoption program, including training and counsel as needed. This way, you know you have the right dog before the adoption is final. Saving Great Animals relies solely on donations, so please visit savinggreatanimals.org today.
It's time that you are heard, and I don't mean in just a conversation. I mean really heard. Imagine hosting your very own radio program on Alternative Talk 1150. Talk about being heard. Call 425-653-1150 right now to learn how affordable it can be to host your own radio show. Time slots are going fast, so take hold of this chance by dialing 425-653-1150. Alternative Talk. We have an opportunity waiting just for you.
bringing good vibes to the Puget Sound and the world. Alternative Talk 1150.
Yeah. And we got to come back in here, ladies. All right, stand by.
Welcome back to the original Loretta Brown Show. And I was just doing a little dancing with Sandra Smith, and we're doing the Enneagram Map dance. That's how that works. You might have to come up with something for active people, Sandra.
That's right. It would have to be a dance that frees us and opens the heart.
Yes, for sure. Frees us and open the heart. Anyway, I want to remind everybody that these shows are archived. You can download them for free at the KKNW 1150 AM archives for the original Loretta Brown Show. And we are on all kinds of social media platforms, iTunes, Spotify, X, Megaphone, Podcast One, YouTube. I know I've left stuff out, but you get the idea. So please go and find this show and listen to it over and over. And there's other really great shows out there. So we are talking about the Enneagram and the Enneagram Map, which I believe sets your book up a little bit apart from other books on it, Sandra. Is that true?
Well, I think the Enneagram Map is a term that's becoming more used than what it's been. People see the Enneagram as a typing system, and it sort of is, but it's really much more than that. And it's the map that we're after, but you have to know which of the types is your home base, your default. Because in stress, because it's our familiar comfort zone, we're going to head there in a hurry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Before the break, we were talking about agreement and disagreement and possibilities.
Yeah.
Do you have more that you'd like to say around that or in relation to that?
Well, yes, I could say a couple things.
Okay.
One of the practices that I engage every day and teach and suggest to others is to notice if in your body you're more constricted or expanded.
Mm.
And when working with leaders, I invite them to check in. And before they lead a meeting or have one-on-one sessions, they need to be in an expanded state.
Yes.
So if I'm soft and I'm expansive, my heart is more open. But if I'm constricted and tight, chances are my heart is defended. And you can get pretty far with a grounded presence and an open heart, but not so much the other way. And that little noticing, I do believe the body will save us, and we miss the body's information. And that is a very big piece of information that is accessible to us if we'll pay attention. And we often live several yards beyond our bodies, right? We don't know what we're feeling. We don't know we're tired. We don't know how fast we're going. And so part of this journey in observing ourselves with the hope of freeing ourselves from automatic patterns is slowing down, slowing the pace so that I notice, oh my gosh, I'm feeling sad. Or, boy, I'm really exhausted. I didn't realize that. We outrun the heart in our culture often, not everyone. And we can shape shift. We have all these images of ourselves that we're trying to bring along in our sacks and pull one out here and there. But who am I really? And how do I experience myself right now? And it takes a slow pace to land in the body and be available to ourselves. So if I'm not available to you to me, I'm sorry, I can't be to you. And it's why I start my book with a chapter on presence. Because if I'm not here, I'm lost to myself, and I certainly can't do any inner work. And I also can't be with you because I'm not available to me. It's a very big deal. I wish parents were teaching presence to their children.
I really feel like you've hit the nail on the head. You know, in our divisive world, in our reactive world, if we were to slow down, stop, you know, I always say stop, go into the inner chamber, get quiet, right? Take care of self. Because I think a lot of times people are kind of like a mule we had when I was a little girl, just kicking the sides of the stall down. And instead of really doing that inner, you know, that contemplative work and finding where's the center, where should I come from? What is the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And activity, you know, one of the great gifts of the Enneagram system is it really kind of names what our reactivity button is. And there's much more to it, but it's helpful to know that so that when I get reactive, I know that somewhere inside me, I'm being told a false narrative that I'm powerless as one who leads with A. And that's going to get me feeling reactive. It's also really important for us to realize that reactivity is never caused by the other. Now, we want it to be. We sure want it to be. We want to blame the other for this nonsense that's happening or ludicrous behavior. But it's triggering something in me. And that's one of the gifts of the Enneagram. It's one of the gifts of inner work is, oh, when I'm getting reactive, what's happening inside me? So that's the moment, the great learning opportunity. So, you know, pause and breathe and center and realize this person really triggers me every time I'm with them. What's that about?
Yeah. That's a great comment. Yeah, I love it.
We can't blame the other.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want to really bad. I love that story.
I think the poet Hafiz that I adore says, blame is lame.
I love that. I'm writing that down actually.
That's a good
Blame
one.
is lame. Yeah. So could you talk to us just a little bit about the 9 types and also they're categorized into sections, triads, right? The 3 centers of intelligence. Can you talk a little bit about that? Give us some structure.
Okay. So the 3 centers of intelligence, we have 3 brains, and Greek Armenian George Gurdjieff was the one credited for helping us understand we have these 3 centers of intelligence, and we have all 3, and one will be our lead brain, depending on the type we lead with. And usually one is least accessible to us. And when we're doing our work, part of the work is to have all 3 brains accessible, because that's when our full knowing arises. So one of the things I've learned recently that's been so helpful is the difference in present and presence. So I can get present with myself and with you pretty quickly. I'm a body type. I'll say more about that. And so I'm present, I'm focused, I'm listening, I'm right here. But my heart is not online.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if I can add receptivity to this, if I get present to me and take some breaths and just allow the softness to come, that receptivity is, then my heart will come online and the world changes. And I start pulling my words through my heart.
Wow.
And now I'm with you, Loretta.
Yes, I feel it. I felt that shift.
Right.
And I want you to add more to that, but I want to point out to the listening audience that your book is so lovely because you have these you have chapters on all of the types. I mean, you have these exercises and you have these insights and you have these that help us get there. Yeah.
My work with the system, I really lean into the spirituality of my life and how the Enneagram has supported that. So the book really has a lot of practices and prayers and Sabbath keeping for anyone. You don't have to be a particular faith, but it's open to all. But now back to the 3 centers of intelligence. Yeah, thank you. And so we have the body center, which means this is a way we all get in touch with sensation, a kinesthetic knowing. Are we paying attention to our sensations? You know, your direct experience right now. Can you really feel right now and sense into clothing on your skin? That'll get you here, right now, or the smell and or the sounds or the beautiful colors. So the body way of knowing can also be a gut instinct, and that can bring some certainty to it. So if you lead with 8, 9, or 1, which are the body-based types, then we've got to pay attention to that. And then we have a heart center of intelligence, and people in the heart center know first through mood and tone and feeling in the atmosphere, in the room, with the other. They are pretty emotionally intuitive. Now, the intuition for body types is that body types match energy. We sense energy and we can match it. For heart types, it's an emotional intuition. Now, I want to be clear that for 2s, 3s, and 4s in the heart triad, this is not emotional intelligence. This is a heart intelligence of understanding through feeling and tone. And also, it's in our hearts that we have courage and we know beauty and we know our heart's desires, right? You know, the body, if we're in our bodies, we have the capacity to be present. When we're in our hearts and they're open, we have courage. We know joy. We know our heart's desires. And then the mind comes online when those 2 are open and there is an abundance of clarity. We're not overthinking. It's in the mind that we know. We use our logic, reason, analysis, and imagination. And 5s, 6s, and 7s, they're the thinking triad, the head triad. And, they're going to use reason and analysis to know first. And, they're going to look at the gray, they're going to ask a lot of questions. Those types are naturally curious. They always want to know why. Why did you fall in love? Somebody ask another person that one. Say, gosh, just let it be. Just be with the mystery of it,
That's a great question. Why did you do that?
Right.
I don't know. Seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so when those 3 brains are online, there is a real presence to us, and there's an openness. Loretta, I find when I am startled or stunned into moments of awe, all of me is right there. All 3 brains are open and accessible. And we also find we're probably very expansive and we're moving energies going beyond our bodies and becoming one with all. And we know those times. And if you can describe yourself in those times of awe, you're describing the real you. That's your essence. So we have our Enneagram type, automatic patterns, and we have our essence, which comes when we move into presence. And that's when we're free of type. That's when we're free. And we see reality as it is. There is no past. We're not bringing the past into the present. The world is so beautiful when we're in presence.
Yes. That was wonderfully said, and absolutely. you were talking earlier about how you work through, bringing things through your heart, so you have these ideas, this exploration, this insight, your book help gets people there. But I'm also hearing, so if I am a head type, right, and that it's useful, it's helpful if I can find out how to bring my other brains online.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So 5s and 6s and 7s, the head types or thinking triads, they will often overthink. They're information oriented, and sometimes they're seeking information and forget to connect with the heart. They can feel attached.
Yeah.
And so once we know our lead brain, we know what we're overusing.
Mhm.
And there's some work there.
Yeah, and overusing and over identifying with. So there's this expansion of self. Um, I know this is, I don't know if you can do this or not, because we only have so much time in the show, but could you take like a couple of minutes and just sort of describe the 9 types real quickly in some sort of unique, imaginative way? As only an 8 can do.
Pressure's on. Oh my goodness. Let me have a sip of water for this.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, goodness.
yeah. So let's start with the body types. I usually start and go up. And for type 8, it's a type with a generous heart. It's a high energy and intense type. Sometimes 8s aren't aware that their intensity can wear others down. It's also wearing 8s down.
Yeah.
It's a type that gets things done. And I'm going to talk as we go about the focus and the ego ideal. The ego's ideal of us. And that's a huge piece of this map, because this is a part of our structure that wants us to be this way. And it's going to do all it can so that 8s stay, I am strong and impactful, right? And so the whole process is centered around 8s doing that. And we lose our fragility. We lose our tenderness with that. I don't want to be that. Well, we're going to be that, but who else are we? And so we have to be more than that. And so when 8s are there, there's a real openness and innocence, but there's also a great fear of vulnerability. So that plays into, powering up. Everything is a boulder. We can cook on high, a blowtorch to toast the bread. It's unnecessary. But you want someone to abide with you when the chips are down. There we go. Type 9. I'm going to just move on. Is that all right with you?
Yes, you'll need to go quickly. We have like a minute.
Okay, for each one?
I don't know if you could do that. It's a big question. I might have needed to bring it back on the show for another hour.
Well, 9s are easy and clear thinkers. They merge, so they need time alone. And, they fear conflict. And they have the gift of tolerance and acceptance toward others. For type 1, it's a type that loves to improve, and they have a severe inner critic, which really is tough for them. And so that's a compassionate entry point. But they usually are diplomatic, high ethical standards, and they're on task. They like to complete tasks. They like to do it well. Type 2 in the heart triad is a kind, sensitive toward other people. They read people. I call them the people readers of the Enneagram, and they do seek approval, and they are the genuine givers. Type 3 is the performer, looking to see what you think of me, but they also they succeed. They know how to succeed. They're driven. To be on task is relaxing to them. They don't know who they are if they're not doing, right? For type 4, it's a person who leads with 4 who is comfortable with emotions, who likes to be somewhat unique. That's the ego ideal, and do things differently. And they've got great emotional intuition, even with strangers. And they're innovative thinkers. Type 5, going into the head type, is a private type, the most private type. Thinking, maybe overanalyzing, can see the world as overly demanding, but they're the most self-reliant type. And so their work is asking for help, staying engaged. And when they do, they're quite generous. And for type 6, worst case thinkers, troubleshooters of the Enneagram, prepared. When the world ends, we want a 6. I say in my book, if I'm headed to the ER, I want a type 6 doc to greet me, because their scan and their observation skills and looking for worst case, that's what I want, right? And type 7 is the visionary. They can they generate ideas, options, possibilities, and fun is a priority. And they may miss thinking of the difficulties, and they tend to avoid emotional pain. Yeah. I think I just did it.
You did it. I'm so amazed, and thank you so much for that. We have run out of time, and my goodness, that went fast. Sandra Smith, it is such a delight to have you here. Your book, The Enneagram Map to Your Deeper Self, Living Beyond Your Type. And what is your website? Where can people find you?
Yes, my website is alchemyworksevents.com.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And to everybody out there, happy Father's Day. Spread the love around. Mr. Benny Mathers, you are the absolute best. Thank you so much.